So in this project, you're going to learn how to use the art history brush, and it is very different than the normal brush in Photoshop. You're going to need to start off by choosing a good photo. Not one of the photos probably from your scavenger hunt. You're either going to need to borrow the camera and go find something good to take a photo of, or you may search the public domain and use a good photo from there. If you're in doubt of it, then make sure that you ask questions. So here I have a picture of a sleeping cat, and I am going to have to do a couple of steps before I can get started here. Okay. I am first going to create a new layer, and I'm going to name this new layer Canvas. And on this layer, I'm going to go to the Edit menu, Fill, and I want you to notice that we have the ability to fill with several different things. We're going to choose Pattern. Now, when you first open this, you probably see this, just these up here. You are going to need to click on the little gear and choose Artistic Surfaces and Append, and then they will show up down here. Now, this gives you a thumbnail of what they look like, but if we go back to that little gear, we can choose Small List, and we can see a smaller thumbnail along with the name, and we are looking for Canvas. Whoops, I'm not sure if I chose it. Yes, I did. So select Canvas, make sure that Preserve Transparency is unchecked, and then click OK. And you have basically a canvas here as your background in this layer. We're going to create another third layer, and this layer is going to be called Painting, and this is where you're actually going to do your work. Then we're going to come down here to the Canvas layer, and in order to see our photo behind it, we are going to need to use our Layers panel and change the opacity probably down to, I don't know, about 60% or so, just so that you can see the photo through it, but you don't want it to you still want it there, you just don't want to be able to see completely through it. So somewhere 65, 70, it's not an exact science. And then you can lock the canvas layer because that's all you're going to do to it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility on those two layers I created because I want to go up here to the History panel, and the little menu up here at the top is going to allow me to do a new snapshot, which I'm going to say is Snapshot 1, and from Merged Layers. And I'm going to click OK. Now, that gives me this snapshot up here, and notice that there's these little check boxes, and it puts a little paintbrush there. So I'm going to choose Snapshot 1 and put the paintbrush there, and then I'm going to come back and turn my visibility back on these layers in my Layers panel, and then I'm going to choose my Art History brush, and I'm going to demonstrate a few things. So it's not the brush tool, it's not even docked with the brush tool. It's two below it. You'll see History brush and Art History brush. Choose the Art History brush. Up here in your options, you see that you have brush size, just like you have before. You have blending modes, opacity, we have styles, area, and tolerance. What I want to focus on right now is the styles. I'm going to demonstrate how a few of them work so that you can decide what is going to work best for your painting. You may want to choose one, you may want to choose multiples, and you may also need to choose different sizes. So if I start off with the tight short, okay, and notice the kind of brush it does, and it basically pulls from the color that we had up here in snapshot 1. That's what it's taking from, okay? If I go and let me change the size of this. If I change the size, okay, notice that it's really thick. So those aren't necessarily good choices for what I'm doing anyway. The medium ones, oops, I forgot to change the size. The medium ones are just a little bit longer. And then, of course, the longer ones are even longer. We have loose. Okay, so that means they're not as tight together. And we have medium and long. And then we have dab. And the dab is actually what I used the most when I did mine. Okay, and you can see if I, oops, that's not what I meant. If I turn off the background layer, you can see how that works. It's almost like it's doing kind of a watercolor painting on there. Okay, so I could go through and do the dab, and if I increase the size, same thing, okay? And if I decrease the size, it's going to give me more detail where I paint that, okay? So notice the difference there. After that, you have curls, tight and loose, okay? And again, the size of your brush impacts how this looks. Okay, so you will use these steps and these tools to paint your photo. When you are done, you might choose to crop it to get rid of unnecessary background, like I've done here. I've taken out some of the background, and I didn't paint the wall behind the cat. All I did was paint the cat himself. So when I turn off the bottom layer, that's what it looks like. I'll want to go in and adjust the opacity of my canvas layer back to 100 so that I can actually see the canvas. And then it makes it look a little bit more like a painting. You can save this as period, last name, art history. And then, of course, when you're finished completely, you will save it as a JPEG to update your Google site. So this is a pretty easy tutorial. You really just need to take the time to experiment with the brushes to see what is going to work best for the painting or for the photo that you have chosen.